Welcome to a place where family secrets don't stay buried and silence speaks louder than screams. Tonight's story pulls you into a world of luxury, loyalty, and betrayal, where a lavish celebration hides old wounds, success rewrites family bonds, and love gets distorted by pride. You'll witness how cruelty can expose the truth, how a marriage built on lies begins to crack in public, and how timing, not shouting, delivers justice with precision. These are stories where appearances deceive, trust is tested, and quiet moments reveal everything words cannot. If you're drawn to emotional family drama, relationship betrayals, and shocking revelations that surface when people least expect them, you're in the right place. Settle in, listen closely, and watch how truth unfolds when no one thinks it will, because sometimes the most powerful endings arrive without a single raised voice. The ballroom glittered like a dream bought with borrowed pride. Crystal chandeliers reflected off champagne flutes, and the air smelled of roses flown in from another country. Every guest wore wealth like armor, laughing too loudly, comparing watches, pretending this night wasn't stitched together with old wounds. This birthday wasn't about celebration. It was about dominance, about proving who had won the family war without ever admitting one had existed. Years of silence hung heavier than the decorations. Invitations had been extended out of obligation, not love. Smiles were rehearsed. Hugs were cold. Money had changed the rules, and success had rewritten loyalty. Watching it all unfold, it became painfully clear how quickly blood turns optional when status enters the room. The hotel itself stood as the greatest irony of the night. Guests praised its luxury, unaware of the truth hidden behind its walls. Staff moved with perfect precision, trained to protect secrets just as much as comfort. Every polished surface reflected faces that had once looked down, mocked struggles, and whispered judgments behind closed doors. Across the room, a husband played his role flawlessly. Tailored suit, charming grin, arm casually placed where devotion should be. To everyone else, he looked like the perfect partner, supportive, successful, proud. But truth has weight, and lies crack under it. Late-night phone calls, unexplained transfers, private promises to someone else, each betrayal replayed silently while watching him toast to family and honor. Across the room, a husband played his role flawlessly. Tailored suit, charming grin, arm casually placed where devotion should be. To everyone else, he looked like the perfect partner, supportive, successful, proud. But truth has weight and lies crack under it. Late-night phone calls, unexplained transfers, private promises to someone else. Each betrayal replayed silently while watching him toast to family and honor. That same man had once dismissed pain as weakness, had chosen admiration over loyalty, had gambled trust for attention, assuming secrets stay buried if wrapped in luxury. Standing there, surrounded by applause, the realization settled that this celebration was funded by deception far deeper than money. Not just financial debts, but emotional ones, owed to vows broken quietly, without apology. The birthday girl soaked in praise, unaware that her throne rested on fragile ground. She believed wealth erased history, believed cruelty could be disguised as confidence. Yet every laugh echoed with resentment, every compliment carried an edge. The family hadn't gathered to celebrate her life, they had come to witness the performance. As the night continued, the truth pressed closer to the surface, ready to breathe. The chandeliers kept shining, the music never stopped, but illusions were already collapsing. Cruelty doesn't always arrive screaming. Sometimes it wears a smile, speaks softly and waits for an audience. The sister had mastered that art. Every glance carried judgment. Every comment landed like a quiet insult disguised as humor. Success had elevated her voice and stripped away whatever kindness once lived there. Money gave permission to belittle, and she used it freely, especially in front of others. Family gatherings became stages for humiliation. Childhood memories were rewritten as weaknesses. Struggles were retold as failures. The sister laughed the loudest, ensuring everyone heard her version of the story, one where superiority equaled worth. Emotional neglect followed naturally. Phone calls unanswered, milestones ignored, support replaced with silence. Love became conditional, measured by income and appearance. What hurt most wasn't the cruelty itself, but how easily it was accepted. Applause followed sharp words. Smiles excused disrespect. The family learned to reward arrogance because it looked like confidence. Watching that transformation felt like losing a sister long before admitting it aloud. Standing beside all of this was a husband who saw everything and said nothing. Silence became his language, publicly supportive, privately absent. While cruelty unfolded, his attention wandered elsewhere. Late nights explained poorly, sudden business trips, a phone guarded like a locked door. Loyalty faded quietly, without confrontation, replaced by secrets and justifications. Success changed him too. Admiration fed ego. Distance replaced intimacy. Promises turned into performances meant for others to see. The sister's behavior mirrored his choices. Both believed status erased accountability. Both assumed emotional damage didn't count if bills were paid and appearances maintained. The betrayal ran deeper than infidelity. It lived in neglect, in choosing comfort over truth. It showed in how pain was minimized and concerns dismissed. When questions surfaced, they were labeled insecurity. When trust cracked, it was blamed on stress. All the while, evidence piled up, messages never meant to be found, financial decisions made in secrecy, affection redirected elsewhere. The sister's cruelty became the mirror that reflected it all. Each insult exposed how far loyalty had drifted. Each smirk confirmed that love in this family had become transactional. The husband stood comfortably within that system, benefiting from silence and distraction. But cruelty has a way of revealing what people try hardest to hide. It sharpens truth. It strips illusions bare. And once seen clearly, nothing ever looks the same again. The night was designed to celebrate love, success, and unity. Yet every detail felt slightly off, like a smile held too long. Music filled the room, glasses clinked, and laughter echoed against polished walls. But beneath it all ran a current of tension that refused to stay quiet. Standing beside a husband who looked perfect to everyone else, the distance felt louder than the music. He moved easily through the crowd, confident, admired a little too much. Compliments followed him, hands lingered on his arm, and he soaked it in like proof of worth. Once, that attention had been reserved for home. Now it felt borrowed, divided, diluted. Each smile he offered strangers landed heavier than any argument ever had. Small things began to surface as the night went on. A whispered conversation cut short when approached. A phone turned face down too quickly. A name mentioned casually that didn't belong in any shared memory. It wasn't shock that followed. It was recognition. The pieces had existed for months, quietly ignored in the name of peace. The celebration only amplified what had already broken. Toasts were made about loyalty and partnership, while messages vibrated unanswered in his pocket. Applause followed speeches about commitment, while financial secrets waited patiently to be uncovered. Money had been moved without discussion. Plans were made without consent. Trust was treated like a luxury item. optional once success arrived. There was a moment standing near the center of it all when clarity replaced hope. The marriage wasn't cracking, it had already split. The lies weren't new, they were just finally loud enough to hear. Infidelity wasn't the deepest wound. It was the ease with which deception had become routine, the confidence with which truth had been replaced by convenience. Watching him laugh, it became obvious how carefully the image had been curated. The devoted partner, the generous provider, the admired man. Behind it all sat choices that erased intimacy piece by piece. Nights blamed on work, emotional absence justified as stress, promises postponed until they meant nothing. The room kept celebrating, unaware that a private ending was unfolding in plain sight. The irony burned. This night meant to honor togetherness was exposing how alone things had become. No confrontation was needed. The truth stood clearly enough on its own. Some marriages don't end with shouting or tears. Justice didn't arrive with raised voices or dramatic accusations. It settled in quietly, patient and precise, waiting for the exact moment when truth would speak for itself. The room was full of celebration, music swelling, glasses lifted high, yet underneath the surface, everything was already shifting. The husband believed silence meant safety. Lies had been layered carefully over time, hidden behind charm and generosity. To the outside world, devotion looked effortless. Inside, betrayal had grown comfortable. Late nights were explained away, missing money was justified as investments. Private conversations became locked screens and guarded smiles. Confidence replaced caution, and that arrogance became the crack. Nothing was said as the evening unfolded. No scene, no confrontation, just observation. Watching patterns repeat themselves made the truth impossible to ignore. He leaned closer to others than he ever had at home, laughed louder, promised things that were never his to give. Every movement confirmed what had already been discovered. Accounts opened quietly, messages deleted hastily, vows treated like suggestions rather than commitments. The beauty of silence is how it lets people expose themselves. No interruptions meant no defenses raised. No accusations meant no rehearsed excuses. The husband performed freely, unaware that every step forward pulled the curtain further back. Friends noticed the tension. Family sensed the distance. Whispers began without prompting. Truth doesn't need permission, it spreads when conditions are right. Timing did what confrontation never could. Documents surfaced naturally, requested for unrelated reasons. Financial records told stories words never would. Names appeared where loyalty should have been. Patterns aligned so perfectly they couldn't be denied or explained away. Even the most practiced liar runs out of space when facts line up. The realization hit him slowly. Admiration faded into suspicion. Confidence cracked into panic. Eyes searched the room for reassurance that never came. The same silence he relied on became unbearable, heavy with consequences. Nothing needed to be announced. The truth had already introduced itself. There was no satisfaction in shouting, no thrill in revenge speeches. Power lived in restraint. Strength showed in letting reality do the work. By the end of the night, the celebration still sparkled, but something essential had collapsed beyond repair. Justice didn't humiliate. It simply revealed and walked away. If this story held your attention, hit like to support the channel and subscribe for more powerful family dramas and relationship stories. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here. Until next time, remember, silence can be the loudest truth of all.